Hi, I'm Peter Loshak with SBRtv, continuing my betting and against the spread NBA conference video reports. Right now we'll look at the Western Conference in games through February 13th. We'll start off with spreads, where the hottest ATS teams recently have been San Antonio and Sacramento. The Spurs have now covered 8 in a row, while Sacramento had covered 7 in a row before an ATS loss on Saturday. The Spurs covers have been pretty solid overall, covering by an average of more than 7 points, and they do have a great team makeup, winning with defense and a deep bench, but it's not clear that they'll have line value going forward, as their lines are very likely to adjust up a bit, and they'll probably be looking to be in good shape for the postseason and not necessarily dominate during the regular season. Sacramento, on the other hand, is not a particularly reliable team overall, and even after their recent ATS run, they're still under 500 ATS overall on the year, and they rely too heavily on their stars to likely be a significantly profitable bet going forward. Oklahoma City is the best overall team in the West on the court, and even though that was expected before the season began, they've still been a slightly good bet on the year at 15-12 against the spread. Similar to the Bulls in the East, all of OKC's line value appears to be on the road, where they're currently 10-7 against the spread, as opposed to at home, where they're just 500, as the Bulls are as well. As I mentioned in an earlier Western Conference video, OKC will probably continue to be a modestly good bet against their spreads, despite being a hyped-up team with marquee stars, because they're young and they have depth, and both of those things will be at a premium down the stretch this season. So I'd look for OKC to continue to have some value against their spreads on the road going forward. Denver, Minnesota, and New Orleans have all been notably bad bets recently, and with Denver, that's coincided directly with a string of injuries that's depleted their roster. Denver was actually a particularly good bet to start the year, and they're still over 500 overall ATS on the year. Depth is particularly key to Denver's success, as they play with a high-energy attacking style, so it's not a huge shock that they started off the year with a bang and then came crashing down to earth. So look for them to possibly be a good bet again at some point this season if they do get healthier when some of their injured starters return. Denver should be a relatively easy team to read in terms of short-term ebbs and flows that the market will probably not take into consideration. When they're at relatively good strength and depth and rest, they're likely to be a very good bet against the spread, and when they're tired or depleted, they're likely to be a particularly good bet against. New Orleans has also been dealing with injury issues, and they did recently break their ATS losing streak in their last game when Chris Kaman returned. They're starting a long string of road games right now, and they may have value at times when Kaman and Emeka Okafor are both healthy and playing, but they might also wear down if both of those guys continue to have health issues. Only dressing 9 players will be a particularly tough thing to handle with this season's schedule. And on totals, as I've mentioned, the early season strong under trend that was particularly strong in the West has evened out, and a few teams have begun to have notable over trends. Oklahoma City has been 8-2 over-under in their last 10, but it's not clear that that will continue going forward, as their last 3 games have all had posted totals over 200. Phoenix, though, has continued to be a strong under-trender in the West, as I mentioned they might be in my last Western Conference update. They're now 8-20 over-under on the year, and they continue to go solidly under in a lot of their games. And with a generally aging roster and a reputation that Steve Nash still prefers a fast-paced style, their totals may continue to be a bit too high going forward. And that's my look at the Western Conference through the games of February 13th for SBRtv.